Just 1 second.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Tushar Agarwal, and it's immense pleasure we start again this Saturday with our motivational 1 hour. It's our me time. We take it out from the stresses and strains of society. And this week, we've got none other than Mr. Sunil Parekh, whom I, sort of met accidentally through other motivational talks which we were going through on the web, and then I attended his sessions and his coaching, and it's so remarkable that you yourself will realize in the next 1 hour that it's of so much benefit to listen to him and to follow his practices. So I will not keep you away from him, and over to you, Sunil ji, and then towards the end, then we will ask the question and answers.
Thank you, Dr. Tushar, and I would like to express my sincerest gratitude for inviting me here amongst all the super specialist doctors, the Cadala team, and all of you. So it is my honor and pleasure to be in front of all of you. So first of all, I'd like to express my thank you to all the doctors, because in these difficult times, it is the medical forces which are really on the forefront fighting the battle, and we are sitting at home just because of all of you are taking care of what needs to be done. So thank you so much. And my attempt in this next 1 hour will be to share with you some tools and techniques. Because हम बातें तो कितना भी कर सकते हैं, लेकिन if I give you some tool, maybe it can help you to really reduce some amount of anxiety, stress, and these are some techniques which might be helpful for your patients as well. Very simple techniques that you can follow to keep yourself, de-stressed, keep yourself happy while we are going through these difficult times. Yeah. Okay. So let me begin. I will begin by, a very important law. So warm welcome to each one of you. Begin with a natural universal law, which is called the law of impermanence. Now, the law of impermanence says that nothing in this universe is permanent. Everything is constantly changing. Our bodies are changing. If you look at a tree, every leaf is also changing from moment to moment to moment. The weather is changing, the seasons are changing, everything changes. Stock market also goes up, down, up, down. Difficult times are always followed by good times. That is the good news about the universal laws, and that is that nothing is permanent. So if good times are not permanent, even difficult times are not permanent. So even though we are probably in one of the most difficult situations that we have ever faced, because we've never seen a pandemic of this sort and of this magnitude, we have never seen these kind of things in our life. But in spite of all of that, the universal law states that nothing is permanent. So difficult times are bound to be followed by good times. The question is not whether the good times will come or not. The question is, how do we spend the time in between? अभी जो समय और जो अच्छा समय है उसके बीच में जो समय है उसको हम कैसे निकालते हैं? अगर इस समय को हम अच्छी तरह से निकालें, if we take, spend this time beautifully, we can make the best use of this time. Or alternatively, we can have some of the most stressful and difficult times, while we are waiting for the good times. Yeah. So this is a law, and the law always works. It doesn't matter whether times are changing, whether people are changing, doesn't matter. Natural laws always work. Like the law of gravitation always works. Somebody goes to the 9th floor and jumps, he will fall. Doesn't matter who's jumping, So same way as that law works for, everything in the universe, same way this law also works. That's the good news, that good times are bound to come. Okay. Now, while we're waiting for the good times, there is one formula which I learned from my coach. My coach, his name is Jack Canfield. He is considered to be America's #1 success coach. And this I'm sharing with you because this is probably one of the most important formulas which keep me happy, keep me always charged up, motivated throughout, whether it's good times or bad times. And the formula is very simple. It's called E plus R equals to O. Now, what does this formula mean? It means events are not in our control. E stands for events. Events are not in our control. Like all of a sudden, if it starts raining outside, Is that in my control? No. So I cannot control the rain. But when it starts raining, there are two kinds of responses people have. So there is a set of people who will look at the rain and say, oh my God, is this the time for the rain? Now, luckily, we are in the rainy season right now, so it doesn't matter. But if it's not the rainy season, a lot of people look at the rain and say, yaar, ye koi samay hai barish aane ka, I will get stuck in the traffic, my shoes will become bad, my clothes will become bad. Is this the right time for raining? And they'll have this negative response and they'll get stressed and frustrated and angry. So what's the outcome? The person is frustrated and unhappy about the rain. But then there is a set of people who look at the rain and say, wow, what beautiful rain. Look at the trees, look at the flowers. They're all shining right now and they look so beautiful. So the event is the same. What I'm trying to say is the event is the same, rainfall. But how we respond to the event, because events are not in our control, but how we respond to the event is only and only in our control. So there's one set of people who are looking at the rain and getting frustrated and angry and upset. And there is another set of people who are looking at the rain and say, wow, what a beautiful weather. Now, depending on how we have responded to the events, we get the outcomes. So if we have given a negative response, it's going to give us a negative outcome. We're not going to feel good about it. And if we have given a positive response, then the outcome is positive. The same thing holds for even the current pandemic situation. So while the situation is so difficult and the event is beyond our control, not in our control, but the response is definitely in our control. So we can have only two responses, positive response and a negative response. So the negative response can be, oh my God, what's going to happen? The world is in a bad state. Every day people are dying. So many more cases are increasing. What's going to happen in the future? I keep looking at the TV news the whole day and I stress myself out. So what's going to happen is my days are full of stress and I'm not able to make use of the time that is available right now. So that's the result. What's the outcome? Stressed human being, not happy at all. The second response to this corona pandemic is the positive response. When you say that, okay, itna time to mujhe zindagi mein kabhi nahi mila. This is the time I'm getting so much time to stay at home, to stay with my family, maybe bond with my family, take a little better care of my health, eat properly, sleep properly. I can do all of these wonderful things. While I have this time, maybe I can upgrade my knowledge, learn a couple of new things. All of this can be done while I'm having this extra time. What's going to be the outcome? It's going to be beautiful, because when good times come, you are a person who has upgraded your skills, you've become a better person, you've developed more better relationships, and probably taken care of your health a little better. The outcome is awesome. So what I'm trying to say is the events are not in our control. Today there is corona pandemic, tomorrow will be something else, third day somebody else will come and shout at us. Events are not in our control, but response definitely is. Okay. So most people, they get stuck here because they're always blaming the event. ये problem है, government का problem है, ये police कुछ काम नहीं कर रही है, ये कोई काम नहीं कर रहा, वो नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं है, वैसा नहीं है. So this is where we don't have any control. The control lies here. This is the power of choice that we have in the moment. What response do I select? Positive or negative? And this response, the good news is that this response nobody can take away from you. Because response मतलब हम हर परिस्थिति में क्या सोचते हैं, हमारा बिहेवियर क्या है, हम बोलते क्या है, हमारे माइंड में हम पिक्चर्स कौन से देखते हैं, और ये रिस्पॉन्स तो सिर्फ और सिर्फ हमारे हाथ में है. तो अगर हमने सही ढंग से रिस्पॉन्ड किया तो हम किसी भी परिस्थिति में जीवन को अच्छी तरह से जी सकते हैं. या so rather than reacting, we can always respond and we can really live our lives beautifully. Now all said and done, मैं कितना भी आपको ज्ञान दूं, लेकिन when it comes to the question of survival, all the gyan is kept aside, because then controlling this guy, the mind, is so difficult. Yeah, especially when it's a question of survival, when there is issue of, how am I going to pay my bills? What's going to happen to my, family if somebody falls sick, my family? All of these things will keep all our knowledge aside. So the question is, how do we deal with this situation that in spite of all of this, how do I still stay calm and peaceful? So I'm going to take you to some basics. While a lot of the participants today are doctors, so probably this will go very quickly because most of you are aware of how the brain operates and how the body operates and all of that. So I'm going to quickly take you through the background and then I'll quickly jump into the technique that I'm going to share with you today. Okay. Wonderful. So let's move forward. So the most basic human instinct is what? There's only one basic instinct in every single human being. And for that matter, not only human beings, but all living organisms. What is the basic instinct? It is survival. भाई जिंदा बच गए तो हम आगे कुछ कर पाएंगे, अगर जिंदा ही नहीं बचेंगे तो nothing else will work. So the most important basic human instinct is survival. And this survival instinct is coming not from today, not from yesterday, but it is coming from prehistoric times. जब इंसान caves में रहता था, we used to live in caves, and at that time the biggest challenge for human beings was to protect themselves from animals. Yeah. If we have all gone through history and we know that when people were living in caves, they had to survive from the animals because they would otherwise get eaten up. So in order to survive, human beings went through an evolutionary process. Even the brain development happened in such a way that even if there is a small sound in the bush, the human being would get activated. He or she would know that there is danger, and then the human being would do something to save himself or herself. Okay. So the brain evolved in such a way that we are able to save ourselves from any life-threatening situations. Yeah. So that is how historically we've seen the brain, evolving. And what I would like to tell you is that while the evolution happened, that part of the brain, which is called the primitive brain, still resides within our brain. So today, though we don't have any life-threatening situations, of course, Corona can be considered to be a life-threatening situation. But as long as we follow the principles and the rules and the laws and, maintain the social distancing and, wear your mask and all of that, you're pretty safe. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि कोई सामने कोई ferocious animal आ गया है और वो हमें मारने के लिए अभी सामने ही खड़ा है, ऐसा तो कुछ है नहीं. So it's, in spite of that, there is this threat. Yeah. So there is a part in our brain which is known as the amygdala. And this amygdala is the one who's really responsible for scanning the environment and checking, is there any life-threatening danger which is there around me? And it is so quick. I mean, it has sixth sense. It can sense dangers in the environment. And if it senses a danger, then it's going to trigger, what is known as the fight-flight response. You're probably all aware of the fight-flight response. Let me just show you this diagram of the fight-flight response. It triggers something inside us, which is known as the fight-flight response. It creates stress, and it is supposed to be done because if there is if there is an animal in front of us, then we better run from there. Either we're going to fight the animal or we're going to run away from there. But in order to do that, it creates superhuman energy in us. It pulls energy from all our other organs like digestive organ and the immune system and all of that, and pumps cortisol, adrenaline, makes your hands and legs very strong. It makes your senses very alert so that you can deal with that animal. Okay. So this is the role of the amygdala, is to sense the danger in the environment. If it notices that there is some life-threatening situation, then it's going to trigger the fight-flight response, and the fight-flight response basically readies you to either fight with that situation or run away from the situation. भागो, मारो, नहीं तो भागो. लेकिन दोनों के लिए भी तो ताकत चाहिए ना. दोनों के लिए ताकत चाहिए. और उस ताकत को generate करने के लिए what does the body do? It generates cortisol, it generates adrenaline, it pumps all the energy into your hands and legs, but it pulls away the energy from the other parts of the body, okay, and brings it into your hands and legs, and it is going to make you alert to deal with this situation. Now, why am I telling you all this? Because this is the root cause of all anxiety and stress and all of that that is created in the body. And how do we deal with it? So let me show you this diagram here, the amygdala and the fight-flight response. And then I'm going to take you to the technique on how we deal with the amygdala, okay? Great. So in any kind of intelligent building, if you go to see, there is something called a smoke detector, right? We all know the smoke detectors. Now, iska role kya hota hai smoke detector ka? Whenever there is a actual fire, the smoke rises, the smoke detector senses the smoke, and it immediately sends a signal to the building management system, the PMS room, saying, Khatra, aag lagi hai. So what is the BMS system going to do? The room, folks sitting in the BMS room, they're going to sound the alarm in the entire building. Is the alarm going to sound only in that room, or is it going to sound in the entire building? Of course, it's going to sound in the entire building, because it wants to make everybody alert. Khatra hai, aag lagi hai, better take care, and get out of the building. So there's this whole system, the whole operational team is sensitized, and it brings the entire building into what is known as high alert. Right now, this is supposed to happen. आग लगी है तो सबको भागना जरूरी है, बिल्डिंग को हाई अलर्ट में लाना जरूरी है. It is important to switch on the sprinkler systems. It's important to switch on the alarms. All this is necessary. But let's take another situation where in a particular room in the building, you are throwing a party, celebrating, and you are throwing a party, and you've ordered 6 to 8 sizzlers. आज सिजलर खाने का मन कर रहा है तो आपने सिजलर मंगाया, तो 6 से 8 सिजलर आपके रूम में आ गए. And then obviously sizzlers are going to generate all this smoke, and this smoke will also go into the smoke detector, right? Now we know it is not fire. आग लगी नहीं है, लेकिन smoke detector को तो ऐसे ही लगेगा ना आग लगी है. The smoke detector cannot detect between a real fire and a perceived fire. So what's the smoke detector going to do? It's going to do the same thing. It's going to send a signal to the BMS. The BMS is going to sound alarms, switch on the sprinkler systems, and it's going to bring the full building into high alert. Now you know कि आग नहीं लगी है, you know there is no fire. So what are you going to do? You're going to run to the closest extension which is available, and you're going to quickly call up the BMS room and say, hey guys, there is no problem. All is well. Don't worry. There is no fire. So please switch off the whole systems. So what does the BMS do? It sends the signal, it basically switches off all the alarms. It's going to switch off the sprinkler systems, and it's going to bring the building back to normal. जो बिल्डिंग में इतना हंगामा चालू हो गया था, पूरा अलार्म्स ये वो भागम भागी सब शुरू हो गया था, all of a sudden the building comes back to normal, because now we know that there is no threat. Now why am I telling you all this? Because amygdala does the exact same thing. The amygdala's job is to really detect life-threatening situations. Life-threatening situations. अगर सचमुच आपके सामने कोई शेर आ गया, so it is a life-threatening situation. भागना जरूरी है. So what does the amygdala do? It triggers the fight-flight mechanism. Okay. So basically, it triggers the sympathetic nervous system. It brings your whole body into fight-flight mode, and it's going to generate the stress response, and it is going to bring the entire body into high alert. It pumps cortisol and adrenaline, and it's going to bring the entire body into high alert. Your hands and legs will become strong. Your senses are very alert. You need to deal with it. Or uske liye you have split seconds. You don't have too much time. So you have split seconds, and within that much time, you need to deal with the situation. So as the moment the amygdala senses danger, it does this within a split microsecond. It does it, brings the body into that mode, and either you will fight or you will run. अब शेर आएगा तो क्या करोगे? मारोगे या भागोगे? भागेंगे ना, सब लोग भागेंगे. Will literally run, and that point, the speed at which you will run, if somebody measures your speed, you will probably break all the Olympic records. And you're surprised, my God, how did I run so quickly? Okay, but it happens. It's very natural and normal at that point of time to really run. But let's say you're running, and you're cornered. You're cornered at one corner, and the lion is there. Forget a lion. Let's talk about a ferocious dog. चलो शेर तो दूर की बात है, लेकिन एक डॉग आ रहा है और उसके दांत पूरे खुले हुए हैं और वो एकदम तैयार है आपके ऊपर बाउंस करने के लिए, and there is no place for you to run. What are you going to do? अभी भागने की जगह नहीं है, तो there is only one option. You are going to fight, and at that moment you generate so much supernatural energy. जबरदस्त शक्ति आ जाती है आपके अंदर, जिससे कि आप उस डॉग के साथ भी डील कर सकते हो. Right? We all know this, but like the smoke detector is not able to detect between a real fire and a perceived fire, the amygdala also unfortunately is not able to detect between a life-threatening situation and a life situation. Okay, so if there is even a thought in the mind, just a thought, ये corona का क्या होगा? God knows how long is this going to last? Look at the number of people who are dying. What if this happens to my family? What's going to happen to my work? मेरे पैसों का क्या होगा? इसका क्या होगा? उसका क्या होगा? ये दुनिया का क्या होगा, लोग कितनी बुरी हालत में हैं. Just the thought, this thought will trigger the amygdala, because the amygdala doesn't know the difference between a life-threatening situation and the thought which creates any sort of anxiety. So the moment you get into the thought, the amygdala will start doing the same thing. It's going to start triggering the fight-flight mechanism. It's going to regenerate cortisol. It's going to generate adrenaline. It's going to, sometimes you will see heavy breathing. You will see palpitations. You will see, sensation in the stomach. Sometimes the legs also trembling. All of this is basically nothing else but the amygdala in action. Now we know that this is not a life-threatening situation. It is to some extent, but like I said, if all the precautions are taken, then it is not a life-threatening situation. Yeah, and almost 98.5% cases are anyways, getting cured. So it is not a life-threatening situation. We know that. चलो ये सिचुएशन तो छोड़ दो, लेकिन अगर कल बैंक में एक ईएमआई का चेक आने वाला है और अगर बैंक में पैसा नहीं है, there is no money in the bank, even that thought that what if my check bounces and the bank people will come to my home and that will be so embarrassing, even that thought is enough to trigger the amygdala. अभी अगर आपकी किसी के साथ में बनती नहीं है, you're not getting along well with somebody, and you had lots of fights with that person, and that person always shouts at you and does all that, even his phone coming on the cell phone, even the bell ringing is enough to trigger the amygdala. Now, आप सोचिए, in the 21st century, how often is the amygdala triggered? It's almost like in the 21st century, this guy is almost triggered all the time. And that is why people are having so much stress. So in the BMS room, the way we send this all is well signal to the BMS room and made the building back to normal, is there a way to send a signal to the amygdala and say, hey, all is well, don't worry. You don't need to create all this system. You don't need to trigger the fight-flight system. Okay, so that is where I'm going to teach you a technique which is called emotional freedom techniques. The role of EFT, emotional freedom techniques, is to basically send a signal to the amygdala saying that all is well. Okay, and when it sends a signal to the amygdala, you'll see within a few seconds, the stress will start dissolving. And within a few minutes, about 3-4 minutes, the stress is gone out of the system. Now, it doesn't matter whether it is stress, fear, anxiety, tension, sadness, worry, guilt, anger, shame, sadness. Doesn't matter what negative emotion it is, EFT can deal with any negative emotion within a matter of minutes. Now, EFT is used extensively in America, in USA. So USA, you will find that there are lots of hospitals which now have EFT clinics. So what do doctors do? They pass the patient through the EFT clinic first, reduce the anxiety level of the patient, and then take the patient for the operation. Because as you are doctors, a lot of operations fail because the mindset of the person is not in the right state. The person is not in the right state. Either the person is too stressed out, there's too much anxiety, there's too much of worry. That's why you see a lot of things don't work the way you would want them to work. That is why in USA nowadays, you see a lot of EFT clinics within the hospitals to actually take the patient through the EFT and then take them to the main operation. Okay, so I will share this technique with you today. And then it's a very, very simple technique. So let me give you a little background of the technique first. Like I said, EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. It is a combination of Chinese acupuncture and modern psychology. Now, what is acupuncture? If everybody knows, acupuncture is holistic science, you can say, an alternative science, where they use certain points on the body. Okay, they use certain points on the body, but they put needles there. Yeah, they put needles. Now, these points which I'm referring to are called meridian points. Okay, and the lines through which the energy flows in the system is called the meridian lines. These are called meridian points, and the lines through which the energy flows in the body are called meridian lines. In the Indian system, we call it the chakra system. In the Chinese system, they call it the meridian lines. Okay, so now it's a combination of Chinese acupuncture. Instead of putting needles, we are just going to do gentle tapping on these points. Okay, very gentle tapping on these points. And what has been scientifically found is that when you tap on these points, you're actually sending calming signals to the amygdala, saying that all is well. And as soon as the amygdala gets signals that all is well, it triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, which actually brings the body back to normal. It slows down the breathing and all the function, all the natak which it had created, it's going to come bring the body back to normal. Okay? And it's very, very quick. Okay? So let me tell you a little bit about the history of how EFT was developed, and then we get into the technique. Now, this technique was developed by a person called Roger Callahan, and he was a psychologist. He had a particular patient by the name of Mary. Mary had a problem that she had a phobia of water, intense phobia, and that phobia was going on for like since childhood. Okay, and the phobia was hydrophobia. She used to get scared of water, aquaphobia. So wherever she used to see a body of water, like even in the tub, in the bathroom, there's too much of water coming from the shower, or if she sees so much water in the tub, she would get a phobia and she would get really scared. Now, Dr. Callahan was treating her, and while he was treating her, he saw that kuch farak nahi pada. 2 saal treatment kiya, 2 years, nothing really happened. Now, one day after 2 years, Mary had an appointment with Dr. Callahan, and the appointment was at a hotel. So she was walking towards the room of Dr. Callahan, and while she was walking, obviously, bada hotel tha, to beech mein kya aaya? Swimming pool aaya. There was a swimming pool in between. Okay. So as soon as she passed the swimming pool, she started getting all these tremors, and she started getting scared, and something started happening in her stomach. And she ran to Roger and said, Dr. Roger, can you please do something? My stomach is really paining. It's really becoming, very, very uncomfortable feeling in my stomach. So Dr. Roger said, okay, he had just learned acupuncture, just taken a class for acupuncture. And he remembered that there is a point under the eye here, which is connected with the abdomen. So usko laga abhi kahan main needle lagane बैठूं abhi, so he just randomly told Mary that, Mary, why don't you tap under your eyes like this? So what Mary started doing is she closed her eyes and she started tapping. Okay, she started tapping under her eye like this, tap, 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 tap. And while she was tapping, she started thinking about the fears of water that she had. उसको जो पानी का डर लगता था उसके बारे में वो सोचने लगी, and she started tapping, tapping, tapping. And in approximately about 5 minutes, she opens her eyes and says, it's gone. So Roger says, feeling better in the stomach, everything looking good now, are you feeling much better? She said, Roger, forget the stomach pain, that is gone, but even my fear of water is gone. So Roger says, are you kidding? I mean, I've been treating for you for 2 years and nothing happened. Now you're saying in 5 minutes, the fear of water is gone. How can that be? It's impossible to happen. So what did Mary do? She actually ran from the office, Roger's office, and she started running towards the swimming pool. Roger ran after her, saying that she may do something which, she might hurt her. But she actually entered the swimming pool and she proved that the fear of water was gone. So now Dr. Roger said, wow, looks like something moved inside. Kuch to change aaya. So what happened really? So he started researching all these meridian points. Okay. He started working on the meridian points. And after approximately 10 years of hardcore research, he did 10 years of research, he found out that if you are tapping on these points while recalling some memories of the past, it takes away the emotional charge from the event. मतलब अगर हम किसी पुरानी घटना को याद करते करते हम टैपिंग करते हैं, तो उस चीज के कनेक्शन में जो फेयर्स है, जो एंजाइटीज है, जो नेगेटिव इमोशंस है, वो निकल जाते हैं. That's what he discovered. So at the end of 10 years, he actually set up a system which is called thought field therapy. Yeah. And in that therapy, he figured out a list of things to do. That if you have anxiety, then you have to deal, tap on certain points in a certain sequence, number of times you have to tap, and all that happened. And he created a whole system, which is called thought field therapy. Now, what happened to us, because the system was so powerful, what used to take him 2 years to, heal the patient got done in one session. So slowly and steadily, what happened is his patients, obviously, there were many more patients, but the patients were healed very quickly and it was done. So then he said, yaar, ये तो अभी problem हो गया, मतलब एक तरह से problem हो गया, because problems are getting solved quickly. Now what do I do? So he said, why don't I start teaching this technique, because it's such a powerful technique. So he started teaching this, and one of his first students was Gary Craig. Gary Craig was a Stanford engineer. So he came to Roger. He said, wow, this is a breakthrough technique. Let me learn this technique. तो उसने उसका एक ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम अटेंड किया और सारा अटेंड करने के बाद Gary came to a conclusion that Roger, this is a very complicated technique. You have to first diagnose the problem, then you have to figure out which point to tap and which sequence to tap. It takes too much time, Roger. So why don't we just simplify the whole technique? So उसने किसका दिमाग लगाया? Engineer का दिमाग लगाया. Now the engineer always thinks a little differently. He says if you're servicing a machine, why don't you service the whole machine? So he said, why don't you tap on all the points, the most important points in the body? If you just tap on all the points without worrying about the sequence and all of that, the problem should automatically get solved. So what Gary did was he came up with a very smart way. He said that there are only 9 points on the body. If you tap on all these 9 points without worrying about the sequence and all of that, the problem will anyways get dissolved. So what did he do? He simplified the thought field therapy technique and created a new technique which is called EFT. So what I'm going to share with you today is really a contribution of Dr. Callahan and Gary Craig. Okay, so these were the two people who really devised this whole technique. It's been in India for almost about 8 to 9 years now. I've been personally practicing this for 7 years, and I've trained thousands of students, hundreds of thousands of students, and they've really benefited from the technique. So this is the technique I'm going to share with you. So first of all, let me introduce you to the 9 points, which are the most important points to get rid of stress, like instantly. I'm just going to stop sharing for a moment because I want to just show you all the points closely. Okay, so just hold on. Okay. Okay. The first point is called the karate chop point. So this is the point here. This part here is called the karate chop point. How do you tap on this point? You just align these 4 fingers together and tap here like this. Just tap here like this. It's called the karate chop point. And I would just request all the doctors and all the participants to also tap along with me so that you understand exactly the power of the tapping, okay? This point is called the karate chop point. The second point is called the eyebrow point. Now, this is where the eyebrow begins. So it's not in the center. It's either on the right or it's on the left. Okay, so you're going to use 2 fingers. You're going to use the index finger and the middle finger, and you're going to gently tap. You don't need to bang, otherwise नए problems खड़े हो जाएंगे. And all of you are, born doctors. Okay, so this is the eyebrow point. So you can tap on the right side. You can also tap on the left side. You can either tap on both the sides also. But even one side is good. So this point is called what? The eyebrow point. The third point is called outside the eye. Exactly आँख के बाहर यहाँ पे आप tap करोगे. So you will find a bony sensation here. So there's almost like a bone here. So you tap on that point here. Again, use only 2 fingers. This point is called side of the eye or outside the eye. Okay. The next point is called under the eye, exactly under the eye over here. Okay. The next point is called under the nose over here. Again, use only 2 fingers. The next point is called the chin point. Now you have a crease here. The chin is here, but the point is on the crease. So you don't need to tap here. It's on the chin point. Okay. The next point is on the collarbone. So you have the bone here, which is the collarbone, and the point is 1 inch below the collarbone. So rather than searching what the point is, use the full hand and just tap the full hand like this. You can tap on the left side. You can also tap on the right side. Any one side is fine. This particular point is called the collarbone point. The next point is called the under the arm. This is the armpit, 4 inches below over here. Use the full hand and tap here. This is called the under the arm point. Exactly 4 inches below. Okay. And then the last point is called the top of the head point. So here there are lots of meridian points. You're going to tap. You're just going to tap, on the entire hair layer. There are lots of meridian points. Again, you don't need to bang your head. Just simple, gentle tapping is good enough. Okay. So let's just revise the points once again. So this is the karate chop point. This is the eyebrow point. This is the outside the eye point. This is the under the eye point, under the nose point, chin point, collarbone point, 4 inches below the armpit, under the arm point, and lastly, top of the head point. Now that we know the 9 points, we're going to learn how to use these 9 points to de-stress yourself instantly. It doesn't matter whether it's fear, anxiety, worry, stress, tension, tiredness, or depression, or anything, any mental challenges, you can use this technique and it will give you relief. Of course, depression will take time because it has much deeper patterns which are there in the mind. But other emotions and pain and all of that can be dealt with like within a matter of few minutes. Okay, so let's go to the screen where I'm going to share with you the actual process. So how do you use EFT for negative emotions? And you can also use it to quickly give you relief from pain, any kind of pain, like it could be headache, backache, legs paining, hands paining, any kind of pain. If it is not coming from any physical impact, okay, physical impact pain is different, and you know best, how to deal with it. I'm talking about pain which is coming for no reason, like headache shuru ho gaya. Now headache shuru kyun ho gaya? Backache ho raha hai, so backache, obviously, one is the sitting posture and all of that, but suddenly you just feel the pressure in the back and you get the pain in the back. I'm talking about those kind of pains, which can be very quickly relieved through EFT, okay? First, let's deal with negative emotions. So let's deal with anxiety, fear, stress, tension, worry. Because ये पांचों जो है सबसे बड़ा चीज है, which comes whenever there is any threat of survival. Okay. So whenever you're not feeling good, let's say you're feeling stressed, or you're feeling worried, or you're feeling anxious. The first step is ask yourself, what's the problem? So you're not feeling good. Pause for a minute and ask yourself, what's the problem? What's going on? Your mind will say you're anxious. Okay, so you're anxious about this, whatever be the matter, but you're anxious or you're worried. तो उस emotion को identify करना है. कौन सा emotion काम अभी चल रहा है? Is it anger? Is it fear? Is it worry? What is the emotion? Okay. Next is find out what is the intensity of the emotion right now, because we need to see whether are we making progress on it or not. Right? So we need to check the scale on a scale of 1 to 10. How much is the anxiety right now? So if the anxiety is very, very high, the number will be 10. If the anxiety is a little less, then it will be 8. If it is so-so, middle, 5. It is very less, then it is 3. And if it is not there at all, the number is 1. So you have to just mentally give your number कि कितना anxiety है यार, अभी कितना चल रहा है, बहुत ज़्यादा है, 10 number है. Okay, so just mentally make a note of it, and then you can start tapping. Okay, so the first point you're going to tap, let's say we'll deal with anxiety, okay, because that's one of the biggest things that people deal with in today's times. So let's deal with anxiety. So let's say, in fact, let me ask all of you to think about one situation of your life for which you are either worried or you have anxiety. Just think about, close your eyes and think. कौन सी ऐसी एक चीज है जिसकी वजह से मुझे एंजाइटी होती है और टेंशन होता है या फिर वरीज होती है? हो सकता है बच्चों का मामला हो, could be your practice, could be that the number of patients that you have to see and deal with. It could be anything. So just think about one situation for which you feel anxiety. Okay. Once you've selected the situation, I want all of you to think about what is the level of anxiety that you have in your mind about that situation. क्या level है anxiety की right now? And I would like to request all of you to share the number on the group. Like, what's the number of the level of anxiety? You don't need to share the reason, or you don't need to share what the situation is, but just the number. Okay, Dr. Tushar says 9. Anybody else? Just share a number. The more you participate, the better it is, my dear friends. Okay. 9. So we have another 9. We have Manishi saying 8. Okay. So we have a couple of numbers. Yeah. Mr. Ganesh is saying 8. Okay. So just hold the number in your mind. Yes, we have to deal with one situation at a time. Just take one situation which is bothering you right now. Okay. Let's just deal with that one situation. So whatever process I do right now, you have to just think about your situation. बोलूंगा मैं, लेकिन आपको साथ साथ में बोलना भी है और अपनी सिचुएशन के बारे में सोचना है और टैपिंग करते जाना है. ओके, तो सबसे पहले हम कहाँ टैप करेंगे? कराटे चॉप. Come on, everybody tap along with me. Just tap on this point. And while tapping, say these words with me, okay? Even though I'm feeling very anxious about this situation, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Okay, repeat it once again with me. Even though I have a lot of anxiety about this situation, बहुत tension है, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Now we're going to say it the third time. You have to say it 3 times, okay? Even though I have all this anxiety and it's really hurting me right now, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So you're going to say this 3 times. This statement, which we just said, is called the setup statement because you're preparing yourself to deal with that particular situation in the body. And by the way, when you accept certain things, things will start dissolving. When you resist things, they will persist. Whatever you resist will persist. Whatever you accept will start dissolving in the system. Okay. That is why this is the first statement where we say the setup statement. Now what do we have to do? बाकी के जो points है, बाकी के जो 8 points है, उसके ऊपर हम we are going to say something which is known as the reminder phrase. मतलब अगर worry है तो कोई तो चीज है ना जिसके वजह से worry है. If there is worry, there is a reason for the worry. If there is anxiety, there is a reason for the anxiety. So what you're going to do in the rest of the 8 points is to talk about what's going on. Or you can say it in your mind, or you can say it loudly. It doesn't matter. What is the reason why the anxiety is getting created? Okay, so you can tap along with me, tap on the eyebrow point and say, I'm really anxious. Now I want all of you to think about exactly what's going on in your life. Okay, you don't need to follow me. So 7 to 10 times tap karna, then go to the next point. Feeling really anxious. बहुत टेंशन हो रही है इस चीज में. And go to the next point. Feeling a lot of anxiety. बहुत चिंता हो रही है. क्या करूंगा इस सिचुएशन में? I really don't know. And go to the next point. Feeling very anxious. Think about your situation in your mind. Please keep thinking. जो भी कारण है उसके बारे में सोचते जाइए. And go to the next point. Feeling really anxious. Really don't know what to do. This is the chin point. Okay, then go to the collarbone point. Feeling really anxious. Really don't know what to do. बहुत tension हो रही है. Then go to the next point under the arm. Feeling really anxious. Too much anxiety. Okay, each point you're going to tap 7 to 10 times. Then top of the head. Feeling really anxious. कहूँगा इस सिचुएशन में समझ में भी नहीं आ रहा है. And go to the next point. Now after this you're going to come back here. You don't need to do the karate chop. Okay, karate chop is only in the beginning. Okay, now come back to this point. So many things to do. Go to the next point. It gets so overwhelming at times. Go to the next point. Too much anxiety. Go to the next point. Creating so much stress. Go to the next point. Not helping me at all. बिल्कुल अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. आपको exactly वही बोलना है जो अंदर mind में हो रहा है. You don't need to speak anything else. You need to speak exactly what's going on in your mind. Go to the next point. This anxiety. बिल्कुल अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. Go to the next point. This anxiety is really killing me right now. At a level 9 or level 8. Go to the next point. This anxiety. बहुत feel हो रहा है मुझे. Very good. So now what we have done is we've completed 2 rounds of tapping. Okay, this is called 1 round. So we've completed 2 rounds. So how are we going to end it? We're going to end with 3 deep breaths. नाक से अंदर लेना है, मुंह से बाहर निकालना है. Okay, breathe in from the nose, exhale from the mouth. So let's do that. Again, go inside. Third time. Okay, keep your eyes closed for a moment. Just keep your eyes closed. Wonderful. Now gently open your eyes. And now think about the problem for which you had anxiety. जिस चीज के बारे में आपको एंजाइटी था उसके बारे में सोचो. अब देखो कितना नंबर है. पहले आपका नंबर 8 था, 9 था, whatever the number was. Did you notice that the anxiety came down a little? If you notice, please type yes. If you notice that if it came down even a little, type yes, and you can type the new number. Very good. Dr. Tushar says the number is now 5 for him. Anybody else saw a change in number going down? Okay, Manishi says it's come down to 6. Yes, very good. Yes, Pratik ji says it's come down from 9 to 3. Awesome. Very good, very good. Brilliant, brilliant. So you're seeing the anxiety coming down. So now what I want you to do is to do 2 more rounds. Yeah, Mr. Kudaiwal is saying it's come down to 5. Very good, very good. So I want all of you to take 2 more rounds. Now I was speaking earlier, but this time I will not speak. I will just guide you. But you're going to be engaged in what's happening because आपका mind जितना आप उस problem पे focus करोगे, वो जल्दी निकलेगा. Let the mind not get diverted. That's why it is called psychological acupuncture. माइंड को यूज करके हम उस फाइल को खोल रहे हैं. सबकॉन्शियस माइंड में जो फाइल है, वो जो एनर्जी है उसके ऊपर हम पॉइंट कर रहे हैं, एंड देन वी टैप. इट रिलीजेस दोस नेगेटिव एनर्जीज. ओके, so like Mary did, Mary was thinking about the water problem and she was tapping. With that, what happened? The phobia went away. Okay, so what I want you to do is to close your eyes, tap on the eyebrow point, and just think about what is causing the anxiety. और जितना ज्यादा फील करोगे उतना ज्यादा उसका फायदा होगा. Go to the next point, outside the eye. Go to the next point, under the eye. Feel the anxiety, feel the tension that is there. जितना feel करोगे उतना ज्यादा निकलेगा. Sometimes you may feel like yawning, sometimes you may feel like burping. That is perfectly normal. Go to the next point, under the nose. Go to the next point, the chin point. Just keep thinking about the thing which you have anxiety about. You can keep your eyes closed or open, both are fine. Think about the problem. Go to the next point, under the arm. Very good. Go to the next point, top of the head. You don't need to do karate chop. Let's do one more round, eyebrow point. Just keep feeling it. जितना ज़्यादा feel करोगे उतना जल्दी निकलेगा. Go to the next point. Wonderful, under the eye. Remember, when you're tapping, you're sending calming signals to the amygdala. Tap under the nose. Tap on the chin point. Tap on the collarbone point. Under the arm. Top of the head. Very good. So now we're going to take 3 deep breaths. नाक से अंदर लेना है, मुंह से बाहर निकालना है. Okay, let's take 3 deep breaths. Keep your eyes closed for a moment. Now slowly and gently open your eyes. And now think about the same challenge for which you had the anxiety. इस चीज के बारे में आपको worries थी, anxiety, उसके बारे में सोचिए. And what is the new number now? Can anybody share their new numbers? What was the first number and what is the new number now? Okay, Dr. Tushar says it's 4. What was the first number? So for Dr. Tushar, I think it was 9. It's come down to 4. Anybody else? Pratik says it's come down from 9 to 1. Very good. Anybody else? Mr. Chandrasekhar Saini says it's come down from 9 to 3. Mr. Kudaiwal says it's come down to 2. There's somebody who says it's come down to 7.5. The number of rounds that you need to take, it all depends. Mr. Manoj says it's come down from 9 to 2. Brilliant. The number of rounds, it depends on you. If it is too high, then you may need to do 4 or 5 rounds. But the max number of rounds in which the anxiety will go away is about 8 to 9 rounds. So 8 to 9 rounds doesn't take you more than 4 to 5 minutes. So within 4 to 5 minutes, it's gone, completely gone. Now, a lot of people tell me that, sir, the anxiety is gone, but the problem is not gone. Yeah, the problem is still there because of which the anxiety was happening. But the challenge is you can speak loudly. Yes, doctor, you can speak loudly. You can speak it in your mind. If you speak loudly, it is even more better. So while you're doing the tapping, if you speak loudly, it's always better. Okay, but you can even speak in your mind. Like you can just tap on these, whenever you're feeling tension, just tap on these points. Even if you don't say anything, it's fine. Just keep tapping. Just keep tapping. Just keep tapping. And you will say once you take about 4 or 5 rounds, the anxiety will automatically come down. Okay. So yes, I understand. So if there is a long-term challenge, then it'll take time. Okay. It'll take a lot of time. But we've had cases where even people have got healed from 18 years of severe depression, lot of pains, this, that, all of that goes away. And all of this, the reason it goes away is because the root cause for all of this is emotions, stuck emotions. Okay. My only thing to you, all of you, because all of you are doctors, you understand the body far more than me. But I've done research on the mind, and I would urge all of you to just use the technique because it really, really relieves you, calms you down, brings your mind to a normal level. And what happens is, like, whatever is the thing which is creating the anxiety, because your mind is now free of the emotions, you have the ability to solve the problem. See, the mind का सबसे बड़ा problem क्या है कि वो जब stress में होता है तो वो काम नहीं कर सकता. The two biggest properties of the mind is creativity and intuitivity. Creativity मतलब problem solve करने की क्षमता. capacity to solve problems, being creative in solving problems. Intuitivity means there is a voice from inside which makes you take the right decisions. Now, because all of you do operations all day, when you're operating, it's your intuition which counts, right? Because at that moment you have to take the decisions. But your intuition will work to the maximum only when your mind is calm and peaceful. It cannot work when you are under stress. Okay? So when you are de-stressed, your intuition works and your creativity works. And when your creativity works, you are able to solve any problem in your life because your mind is so powerful, it can come up with any solutions to any problems. Okay? So this is in my 20 years of research that I've done on the mind. I've learned various different modalities on how to control the mind, how to, de-stress yourself completely. So this is one technique which I found you can learn and very quickly, and the results are like instant. It just gives you results. You can teach this to anybody, as long as they just tap on these 9 points, saying exactly what's going on inside, they will relieve themselves of all those negative emotions. उससे सबसे बड़ा एक बेनिफिट ये होगा कि बॉडी की हीलिंग फास्ट होगी. Like if you've performed an operation on a patient, but if the patient is under too much anxiety, तो उसकी healing को समय लगता है because the body is not able to operate its normal functions when the body is stressed, right? The energy levels are not able to increase because the body is not able to support the energy flow in the body, right? But if the person has been operated and if the person is calm and peaceful, the body's healing will be much, much faster. So a lot of doctors use this because, obviously doctors have a lot of stress. You have to keep seeing patients all day. You have to deal with so many problems every day. You have, people coming to you are only talking about problems, right? So I understand, and really, I feel so much empathy that there's so much of challenges that you have to solve. Obviously, you're passionate about your work, and that's why you're able to deal with it. But after all, we're all human beings, right? And it kind of gets onto us at some point. So if we have a tool which can really help us solve these problems, it just becomes so much more beautiful. Okay. So the number of times to use during the day, it can be any number of times. There is no problem at all. Like whenever you are feeling stressed, not happy about something, angry, sad, just take 2-3 minutes, tap on yourself, release the emotions, take 3 deep breaths, have a little water after that. Because when you tap, what has been also found is that you start releasing the cortisol, the stuck cortisol in the body. So if you have enough water, the cortisol metabolizes and it leaves the system. You can flush it out of the system. It's always a good idea to drink water after an EFT session. Okay. So I think the same technique can be used for removing body pain. If there's a headache or a backache, the statement you would use is that even though I have this headache and it's really paining on my right side, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I have this severe backache, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Yeah, this back is really paining. I'm not even able to stand up. I'm not able to sit properly. It's really, really bothering me. This is happening. That is happening. Say exactly what's going on and tap for a few rounds. Breathe in, breathe out. You will see there will be relief in pain also. Okay, so you'll see, pain really slowly going away. Now it really helps in healing quickly, because as doctors, you all work on the bodies, you take care of the body's mechanisms, you fix bones, all of that. But along with that, if the mind is also fixed, you see that, the problems can be solved much, much faster. So I think I'm open to questions now. Dr. Tushar has asked a question. Is there a minimum number of times you can use this? No, you can use it as many times as you want. And you have to follow it up with assertive statement rounds. Yes, you can do that. So after you've done the negative rounds, I'm really feeling stressed, I'm feeling stressed. जब तक आपकी नेगेटिविटी पूरी तरह से निकलती नहीं है, तब तक आप नेगेटिव राउंड्स करो, ब्रीद इन ब्रीद आउट करो, चेक करो आपके कैसा लग रहा है. If you're feeling good, then you can do 1 or 2 rounds of positive rounds. So you can say, I'm really feeling calm and peaceful. I'm feeling calm and peaceful. I'm feeling calm and peaceful. So now what are you doing? The beautiful thing about EFT is it removes the negative and installs the positive. Okay. So when you're saying I'm calm and peaceful, it actually installs the program into the subconscious mind and you feel much, much calmer and more peaceful. You can definitely do positive statements after you remove the negativity. Okay, so that's the way to do it. Okay, Dr. Tushar and Ganesh, I can open up for questions if anybody wants to ask questions.
Participants can put up their question in the chat box directly, so it would be easy.
Yes, I think that will be fine. Anybody has any questions? So what I can do is I can share the tapping diagram. I can share the process. So Dr. Tushar, maybe I can send you a little document and you can share it with everybody.
One question has come from Mr. Amit.
Okay.
What if we tap and say relax? Will the mind calm down?
So when there is already stress and you say relax, it takes too long, because unless the negativity is not removed from the mind, it is very hard for it to accept positive. And it does happen eventually, but it will probably take much more longer, maybe 15 minutes or half an hour for it to calm down. So my suggestion is pehle negative ko nikalo aur uske baad positive karo. Okay. Mr. Raj Gopal says, is there if there is a conflict, will this help? If there's a conflict in, I didn't really get the question, Mr. Raj Gopal. So if there is a conflict in the mind, how can this be? Can it really work? Does it really work? If that is the question, then EFT always works. Even if you don't believe it, it still works. Because what has been scientifically proven, it has been clinically tested that when you tap on these points, it sends signals to the amygdala and it calms the amygdala down. That has been scientifically proven. In fact, it has been actually tested even on war veterans. It has been tested on PTSD, the post-traumatic stress disorder patients, and it has given significant results in reducing stress levels.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, most welcome.
Sunilji, I'd like to ask one question.
Yes.
So there are kids, whom we feel that they require this kind of help.
Okay.
Yes. And they themselves, if you ask them, is anything bothering you? They may say, no, nothing is bothering me.
Correct.
Is there a way where we can transfer this by tapping for them?
Yes. So there are two ways to do that. Who's speaking? Who's asking the question?
Dr. Tushar.
Pardon me?
I'm Dr. Tushar.
Dr. Tushar, okay. So if kids need this, there are two ways of doing it. So if kids need it, we can just train the kids when they're in a good mood. We can share these points with them. Okay, these are points. Whenever you are not feeling good, you don't need to tell me, because kids generally won't tell you, but you tell them that whenever you're not feeling good, you're feeling angry, you're feeling upset, you're feeling a little down or depressed or anything, just tap on these points and just say what is coming in your mind. You can do it in private. So that is the best way, because I feel that empowers the children. When you empower children, they know how to deal with their own emotions. And today, the biggest challenge with not only children, with everybody is dealing with emotions. As we know, IQ levels are very high, but EQ, miserable. I mean, that's why you see so many suicide cases and so many problems, because people are not able to deal with their emotions.
So
and the second way, doctors, the second way is to really tap for the child. So while you all are all doctors, but I would like to share this technique with you, is that, like Reiki, if you've heard of Reiki is a distance healing technique where you can heal people from a distance. Similarly, EFT is also an energy level technique. So energy, there is no limitations of time and distance. So you can do tapping for others. That is also known as surrogate tapping.
But does that mean that your own energy levels have to be very high, or you have to be in a state of bliss or something like that?
Not at all, not at all, doctor. So the process is very simple. You can just say first, if you want to tap for your child, you say this tapping is for my child. So first statement is this tapping is for so and so person. Okay. Now this establishes a mental connection with that person. And then you're going to tap on yourself that even though I'm not feeling good, now you don't know what's going on in the child's mind. But you know the child is not feeling good. So what are we going to say? Even though I am not feeling good, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Okay. So not feeling good as a statement is also good enough. Even though I'm not feeling good, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Now, even though I'm talking in the first tense, it is really for the child, because we already said this tapping is for my child. So not feeling good, बिल्कुल अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, बहुत गुस्सा आ रहा है, not feeling good, not feeling good. Tap on yourself for about a few rounds. Breathe in, breathe out. You will be shocked to see that the child's emotions have changed. Now you have to try this out to actually. And Doctor, you were there in the session live with me
Hmm.
when I was working with.
Yeah. It works. It's quite proven. But it is so surprisingly lucidly simple that it's difficult to accept it.
I know, I know. So that's why my only suggestion to you is to just do it. Because the most beautiful thing about tapping is that whether you believe it or not, it still works.
Yeah.
It still
Ganesh
works
ji?
because I think there are some questions.
Hmm.
You know, when people are typing, they're typing privately. So it's coming to me privately.
Yeah.
So if
So
you can
please
type
answer.
to,
You can see, sir. There is a one question from Anu.
okay,
Negative statements to start with. Normally, it said don't give negative statement to the mind.
correct. So why are we giving negative statements?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are giving negative statements only when the mind is negative. समझो मैं ऑलरेडी फेयर में हूँ और मैं उसको सप्रेस करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, मैं फेयर में नहीं हूँ, फेयर में नहीं हूँ. That's not going to work because the reality is there is fear inside. So instead of holding the fear for hours and hours together, I would rather say fear for 2 minutes and get rid of it. Because मैं सिर्फ 2 मिनट के लिए बोल रहा हूँ ना. And the reason I'm saying that, say I'm, have a lot of fear, I have a lot of fear, बहुत डर लग रहा है, बहुत, because the mind is such a monkey that even while tapping, I have a lot of fear, I have a lot of fear. Even at that time, the mind will run away somewhere else. It'll go to your home, it'll go to the somewhere else. So mind is such a monkey that you need to catch it and hold it on the problem. That is why we are saying, बहुत डर लग रहा है, बहुत डर लग रहा है, because otherwise the mind will just run away. Yeah, so it just really works, and it keeps the mind focused on the problem while the problem is getting sorted. Now, the most beautiful thing is that इसको 3-4 मिनट लगता है. That's it. In 3-4 minutes, it's just gone.
And we are also saying that we love, accept ourselves.
Love and accept myself to begin with, yes, because we are saying that in spite of this problem, I'm still a good person. It doesn't make me a bad person. I still love and accept myself. So yes, we do that in the beginning.
So it is like a form of acceptance and commitment therapy. So you are accepting.
Absolutely. Yes, you're accepting the situation, and that hey, but that doesn't make me a bad person. Hey, problem तो है, तो उसमें क्या है? So now let me deal with it. That kind of thing. Okay, so there are some questions here in the chat. I will just read those questions and say this. There is a question, is there any way to block the negative thoughts from coming in? Okay, is there a way to block negative thoughts? So my suggestion is that if you use this on a regular basis, so let's say in a day you get this emotions for 3-4 times and you use it, the amygdala literally gets reprogrammed. Now, the brain, the amygdala has a lot of programming from the prehistoric times. Okay, so that programming, what has been tested scientifically is that when you tap and remember those events, the amygdala programming changes. So now what's going to happen is those things which are bothering you today, tomorrow the same things will not bother you as much as it bothered you yesterday. And gradually you will see that the stuff will just go away and it won't bother you anymore. It's just gone completely. But it takes time. It takes consistent practice for about 4 to 6 months. You will see in 4 to 6 months, you don't react to any situation at all. Of course, life-threatening situations, you will react. But general life situations में tension, stress लेने की कोई जरूरत नहीं. उसमें तो हम, we're not going to die. We need to just deal with that situation, So it's just preparing the mind to respond rather than react. Okay. Does it work for very old and deep emotions? Yes, it does. It does. Now it takes a lot of, because there are more advanced techniques where you can deal with past experiences of the mind. If there are a lot of past experiences stuck in the mind, you can actually remove those experiences from the mind. You can even deal with belief systems. Like suppose the belief of the mind is I can't do this, या मेरे से ये होगा नहीं, या तो ये problem heal हो ही नहीं सकता. This body का ये problem cannot be healed. If the mind believes that it cannot be healed, unfortunately, doctors' treatments don't give any, they don't give the results that you want you desire. If the mind believes that yes, it can happen, then the treatments will really start working. That you must have noticed in your own practice that, you know, it's the mindset of the patient which also helps you in the healing part, right? So,
Sunilji, I had asked one question. Is there any
okay.
advantage of using this two-handed technique? And can we change the hand midway?
You can change the hand midway. So let's say you're doing on the left side here, you can do it on the right side here. Then you can do here. You can even use both the hands. As long as you're covering any one point or both the points, we're good. Doesn't matter whether it's left or right. Because it covers the main meridian lines.
Is there an advanced point here on the wrist?
There is a point here, but that is very rarely used. These are the 9 most important points. That way, there are hundreds of points, you know, but the most important ones are the ones which I really shared with you, the 9 points.
Is it possible that you are in a public place and you're not able to tap yourself? So can you just gently press?
You can, like you can just do like this and very gently move, even very gently, you know, like this. Actually, आपने देखा होगा, you know, whenever we are in trouble, we do this. We do this, we do
Intuitively.
this. हम लोग ऐसे करते हैं, ऐसे करते हैं. Yeah, so we are actually touching these points unknowingly. Yeah, sometimes we press here. So you can very gently press here. You can even do gentle tapping, very gentle, even soft, like you like cotton touching. You know, even that is good enough. You don't really need to bang. Okay, there is someone asking, can I use EFT for removing fear of passing a professional exam? As I could not make it the last few attempts, it's instilled in my mind that exam is tough and I can't clear the exam. Yes, of course, you can do that. So, you know, even though I have this fear that I will not clear my exams, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. ये हुआ था, एग्जाम में फेल हो गया था, ये हुआ नहीं था, अच्छे मार्क्स नहीं मिले थे, वापस ऐसे ही होगा तो, वापस एग्जाम क्लियर नहीं होगा तो मुझे बहुत डर लग रहा है, अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. So keep tapping on yourself, the fear reduces, then go into the exam. Because most children go blank in the exams because they are in stress. Whenever a person is in stress, the memories will go blank. You can't remember things. Yeah, so it's always a good idea.
Is there a script which is very important here?
Not really. The script is your inner voice. Because we are not going to create anything. ये बोलते समय हम कुछ नया कुछ create नहीं करना है. We need to say exactly what's going on inside. Like if I'm angry, then whatever is going on, समझता है क्या है अपने आप को, मैं देख लूंगा उसको, मुझे बहुत गुस्सा आ रहा है, अभी उसको पकड़ के मारता हूँ, उसको ये करता हूँ. Say what is going on in the mind. So there's no real specific script as such. Because you need to give a voice to your inner voice. उसको ही बाहर निकालना. Okay.
Ganesh ji, would there be any other question? Because this has been a very, very self-explanatory talk.
There is one more question. What is the exact role of these 9 points from Mr. Omkar Kulkarni?
Okay, so these 9 points are basically known as the meridian lines. And meridian lines are basically the ones which are responsible for energy flow in the body. Like in the Indian system, we have the chakra system, we have 7 chakras and through which the energy flows in the body, right? So energy flow, तो उसको रिस्टोर करना है बॉडी में, तो हमें वो पॉइंट्स के ऊपर टैप करेंगे तो इट ओपन्स अप द एनर्जी मेरिडियंस and the flow of the body, the energy in the flow increases. That is the significance of those points. These are called meridian points.
Sunilji, I need to ask you one thing. In your 2-day course, which you do over the weekend,
yes,
life transforming course, besides the tapping, what else is discussed in that course?
Oh, in that course, doctor, we talk about the subconscious mind because the subconscious mind is extremely powerful. And it is really the subconscious mind which helps us to achieve things in life. So it could be success, it could be health, it could be relationships, it could be money, it could be any area of life. It is everything that happens in our life is really a result of what we believe.
Yes, sir.
अब believe करते हैं तो वो actions में reflect होगा, और action में reflect होगा तो result मिलेगा. But when people have limiting beliefs, wrong beliefs, you know, like in relationships, sometimes people have beliefs, ये लोग ऐसे ही होते हैं, सास बहुत बुरी होती है, ये ऐसे ही होता है. So when the beliefs are wrong, the actions will be wrong and the results will be wrong. So in my workshop, what I teach is first, what is the subconscious mind? How powerful the subconscious mind is? and how it can be used to achieve any goal, solve any problem of life. Okay, so it could be health problems, it could be money problems, it could be relationship problems. And then I teach a lot of techniques on how to you really unleash the power of the subconscious mind to really achieve your goals and solve problems and all of that. That's what I teach in the 2 days.
So,
I have
Ganesh,
one, yes.
just a sec. Ganesh,
Yes, sir.
are we good? I think we should
Yeah, wrap up now. Yeah.
we'll wrap
What
up.
is
And
your
then
final comment, sir? Tushar, sir. Your final words.
I think this is the first time somebody has actually given us an active technique to relax. And I think that was the absolute need of the hour rather than, us discussing mere concepts. So we are deeply grateful to Sunilji for spending this time and we must share his contact numbers and people can seek him out and I'm sure they would want to do his course. And currently it is done online, so you don't have to, leave your home and wherever you are in the country, you can just join him. Sunilji, when's your next course? If you can just briefly tell them.
Sure, sure. So we have one, program. There's another program which is more about prosperity. It's about, wrong belief systems about money. So
That's
tomorrow
this
evening,
weekend.
6 to 8, we have an introductory session. And then in the next weekend, we have the program.
Yeah.
So
So I
that
encourage
program is,
everybody to join Sir's introductory session and then further details you can just procure the moment you join the introductory session.
absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
So I will share the link for that because the registration is required. So can I share that with you, doctor?
Yeah, I will forward it to all the
Yes, I will
people.
share it with you and then you
Right.
can forward it to everybody.
Right.
Yes.
So, without further ado, I thank Ganeshji, Kadila, Neeraj Bijlani, OrthoTV, and Sunilji, and all the audience for taking time out to join us. Thanks a lot, and happy tapping.
Yes, and
Thank you,
thank
sir.
you,
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Tushar. I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to, maybe share something which will hopefully help the doctors.
It
If it helps
definitely will help.
you, you can help thousands of other people. So my intent here is to maybe leave something with you which can make a difference to your life.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Wish you all the best, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
sir.
Bye.